Hello everyone, it's Adrian, and I thought I'd make a video. This is a video called Toxic People. How to tell when a person is toxic in your life and how to get rid of them. Because ain't no one need that crap. Especially if you're me and you're like pretty much doing over 60 hours of school slash work. I'm currently in the pediatric units, in the pediatric, youth center, outpatient stuff now. So it's like, oh man, I'm actually working like legit 5 days a week. Then Saturday and Sunday at the job that I actually get paid on. So yeah, but anyway, just toxic people in general. And I kind of had somewhat of an experience with that, but I don't want to get more into detail on that because like, that's not really worth talking about. But just it kind of was a good learning experience that helped me with to identify this, and I like also the inspiration for this topic video. But toxic people. Now, how do you identify them? How do you realize, man, this person is kind of toxic? I don't want to talk to them. I mean, there are a few questions you should ask yourself beforehand. Like before, you kind of start realizing this. Just ask some questions about some of the people in your life. Like one of the questions are, do you feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells with this person? Like, do you feel you constantly have to be careful with what you do, what you don't do, what you say, what you don't say, your tone of voice, whatever? Like, do you constantly feel you're walking on eggshells with a person? Because if you constantly feel that way, because you're scared that the person's gonna find some sort of offense to it, gonna see some sort of insult in it, if you're afraid that the person maybe gonna go off for no reason, that's a clear sign that that person is a toxic individual. If you constantly have to walk on eggshells, and don't get me wrong, there are times you do have to walk on eggshells with someone, like if someone lost someone close to them, someone's dealing with like a depression, or there are times where that's appropriate. But if it's constant, that you constantly have to walk on eggshells, and if that's an answer is yes, that person is toxic. And that person's a toxic individual. You need to get away. You know what I mean? You need to like, yeah, that person is toxic. And I had an experience with that too, where it was literally the same thing. It was like no matter what I said, no matter what I did, there was like I got to a point where I was like I felt like I was constantly walking on eggshells, and so that was a good learning experience to identify that. Taking the positives too. So just that's one question. And the other question too is, does a person always find some sort of negativity or fault with something that you do? And it could be anything. Does a person always find some sort of negativity or fault in something that you say, something that you don't say, things that you do, things that you don't say? Does a person always find something to take offense to you, to be offended by you? Yeah, or to take some sort of, did he always find something to be insulted by? No matter what you do, you could like rescue someone from a burning building, and they would still find something that you did wrong, some sort of fault that they could be offended with. If that's the answer, that person is typically a toxic person too. Like for example, if you go and help them move, and then you bring it in, they're like, oh, you moved it at the wrong place. How could you do it? Oh. They kind of start doing that, and not in a joking way, or like, I can't believe how, like, an example would be like if someone, you said, how was your day? And the person, well, what are you saying? You think my day went bad, huh? Like, to get offended like that and take some insult. That's an example of what I was saying. If they take insult or offense to pretty much almost anything you say or do, that person's a toxic individual. That's a clear sign. I like a clear sign. The third question you should ask yourself: do you always feel guilty or like you did something wrong to this person? Like, and I'm not saying like once in a while, like sometimes you'll feel guilty that you did something, or like maybe once in a while. But I'm saying, do you constantly feel like you wronged this person, or you guilty that you did something, and it's constant? That person's probably a toxic individual, because the way it works, that they will find something that you did wrong, and they will always try to play the victim, and so they will always find some sort of fault in you, or something that you did wrong that wasn't even wrong, and they will constantly try to make you feel guilty, and constantly try to make you feel guilty and bad, or like you did something wrong. And don't get me wrong, sometimes friends will do that sometimes, and there will be actually a great cause, because sometimes you may do something without realizing it. But if it's like constant, just like that, like I said, like it's constant, like they're always making you feel guilty, they're always making you feel like you did something wrong to them, that person's a toxic individual. Like 100% a toxic individual. Again, from experience. Oh, looking at my phone. And so I think there's one more question that I'm forgetting that you probably should ask yourself too. What's the right word? I mean, yeah, actually, that might be it. I mean, because I was gonna say, like, if the person's always negative, like negative around you, but that kind of goes fine. Yeah, actually, that's a good one. Like, does the person always, is he always like negative with you? Like, no matter with your accomplishments, like some things that you're proud of, is he always negative with you? Like, for example, if you had a great time in Hawaii, does the person go up to you and say, "Oh man, how was it? Was it cool?" Or does the person kind of do something like, "Oh, how much money did you spend, man? Oh, they must have sent you back. Oh God!" Like, finally trying to bring you down. If that's the case, if the person's always negative and trying to bring you down and trying to kind of cut short your accomplishments, that's a toxic individual too. So those are 4 questions right there. Like, if that's something that this person is doing, they're toxic. And there's also another thing, another category. Is this person always angry? Like, do they always make excuses for their behavior? Do they always, like, they could do no wrong? Like, are they always a victim, or are they always angry? Like, it's something, like, it's never their fault. It's always someone else's fault. It's always this that happens. It's always this. It's always some sort of excuse. They never take ownership. That's another thing. That's the toxic person as well. Okay, so with that being said, how do you get rid of these people? Like, how do you just, because trust me, you need to, that's not healthy. So one of the ways, there's 2 ways you can do this. And the way I say, like, if you know the person, and if you really know the person, and you knew them for a while, you're kind of friend, then I would say have a talk with them first. Like, just have an honest conversation and talk with them, and just tell them some of the things you're noticing. For example, just say that, oh yeah, my computer. Just, have a conversation. Just say, hey man, I'm kind of noticing, you're kind of making me feel really guilty all the time. You're doing this. You're kind of really negative around me, or you're always angry and blaming other people, or just explain, I always feel like I'm walking on eggshells with you. Just have an honest conversation with that person. Seriously, like, have a good, honest conversation with that person if you knew them. And based on their reaction, you can either A, continue to try and be their friend, see if things change, or bolt out the door. Like, if the person kind of has a reaction of, they're not taking ownership for their behavior when you have this conversation with them, and they're trying to be a victim, play a victim or whatever. If they do that, you know, I would just drop them. Like, go, like, just drop them. And like, if she and the conversation to drop the person, just say, hey, look, man, look, and again, just say why you want. Just say, hey, it's nice. I've been your friend. It's been nice knowing you, but you've been making me feel really bad, and I've been noticing this, and I just don't think you could be friends anymore. And and that's all it takes. Just something simple like that. And this is if you know the person really well. Like, if you don't know the person really well, then I would just say ghost them. Like, you don't owe that person anything. Like, if you just met this person like a week ago, or like whatever, or if you just just you don't know the person at all and haven't known them for years, or like you're not best friends like you were, then I would say just literally just don't even bother. Just stop. Don't respond to any of their messages or texts. Just leave them. Just let them be, because you don't owe that person anything. Why have a conversation? It's not worth it if you don't really know the person. But if you do know them, have that honest conversation, and then however they choose to react, whether they get negative or dreading or dreadful or whatever, that's on them. That's not on you. You can just move on. And that's my video about toxic people. Just remember those questions. Like, do you feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells? Is a person constantly like angry and never take ownership for their behavior and it's always someone else's fault? Do they always find some sort of fault or insult to be taken with you? Like there's nothing matter what you do, what you say. There's always something negative or fault or insult that they perceive in it. Does he always try to find a way to be negative and bring down your accomplishments? And 5, last but not least, do you always feel guilty or like you did something wrong to this person constantly? If you have a yes for any of those answers or multiple of these questions, yeses for most of these questions, that's a toxic person and you need to steer clear of them. So that's my video. I hope everyone enjoyed it. Thank you very much and bye.